Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the PHNX Suns podcast. I'm Lindsay here with Flex and Saul. Shout out to the early arrivals in the chat: Chantel, Eli, Lucas, some guy named Justin. Hello, Spencer, Hazy. Good to see all of you already in the chat. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Fantastic.
Good.
Awesome. I'm glad that you guys are doing good because we got a lot of stuff to get into, and hopefully today we'll end the show all feeling real good about the Suns and the offseason, because we're going to be talking our perfect off seasons, a little bit of dream scenario, but a little bit of reality mixed in. But before we get into that, a couple things that we have to talk about off the top that we got word of. I know yesterday we talked about the rumor that Bronny James was going to be having a second workout with the Suns, or already did have a second workout with the Suns. Well, we got a little bit more clarity on that one here today in an interview that ESPN's John Givney had with Rich Paul. He did share some interesting information. I don't know if we love it or if we hate it, but let's talk about it. First and foremost, what he said. LeBron is off the idea of having to play with Bronny. If he does, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't. There's no deal made that's guaranteed that if the Lakers draft Bronny at 55, that LeBron will re-sign. If that was the case, I would force them to take him at 17. We don't need leverage. The Lakers can draft Bronny and LeBron doesn't re-sign. LeBron is also not going to Phoenix for a minimum deal. We can squash that now. What were your guys' initial reactions when you read that quote?
Smoke screens. Hey, listen, okay, if you don't want to come here for the vet minimum, there's not a scenario that is out there where the Suns can trade for LeBron. So he's completely out of the picture. So it basically leaves it to LA or everybody else. That's just what it is. And I know LeBron doesn't want to go anywhere else. It's West Coast or nothing. Yeah. So I don't really buy it.
Listen, this is classic agent speak. This is a week before the draft. This is exactly what Saul says, smoke screens. I'm going to go out right here on this show and say, I think 99% of what he said was a crock of shit. I think it's just part of the business, right? Just think about it. Read the whole article. If you haven't, don't just go for the clickbait headlines. Read the whole thing. And Lindsay did a good job of breaking down some of that. He said, Lakers could take him at 17. Doesn't mean we're going back. We don't need leverage. We don't need the Suns to be leveraged. So, I mean, if they wanted to take him, they could take him, and we can do all this business behind closed doors, and it wouldn't be anything to talk about. He talked about Masai loving him, but not having to meet him and taking him at 31. He talked about Nico loving him and not needing to take him, he could wait till 58 with the Mavericks. He talked about the Timberwolves. And so I'm sitting here and I'm saying, why even say all this? Like, what are you doing? Why are you saying all this? You know what my translation was? Phoenix, don't fuck around. Take him at 22. I'm just letting y'all know. Don't play funny. Don't play funny. You want him, take him at 22. Because if you don't, 31 is lined up. 58 is lined up. That's what I got from this. And again, if he wanted to throw a complete bomb out there, like Saul said, you know the Suns are limited to a minimum contract. So he could have easily just switched up a couple words and just said, LeBron's just not going to Phoenix. There's no path. There's no way. And it's over with. But the way he phrased it and the way he said it, again, just sounds like a lot of agent talk. And I followed up. I made some phone calls. I damn sure did. As soon as I saw it, I made some phone calls. And let me just say, I don't think anything has changed from what I was thinking about yesterday after this little interview.
Okay. So Noah in the chat said, I'm not going to take Rich Paul for face value right now. Eli said, I call cap. I feel like it's one of those things where everybody wants to know what's going on. There's a lot of hype around Bronny and LeBron James this offseason, because everybody will tell you for the offseason to really kind of fall into place, you're kind of waiting for the LeBron James news to hit. A lot of teams are. If you're a team who thinks you even have the slightest bit of a chance to land LeBron James and you're trying to wait for that, you're not going to fill out the rest of your roster. You're not going to be making moves until you know for sure that that's dead and gone, because then you don't want to shoot your own self in the foot, right? And then as far as Rich Paul and the Bronny side of things goes, he wants to make sure that his his guy is getting the best deal possible, that the team that he's going to, I believe that part of the article, that he truly has Bronny's best interest in mind. I do believe that part of the article. As far as LeBron not really caring about playing with Bronny anymore, I don't buy that for a minute. No chance. No chance.
Not even a little bit, because there's two other scenarios that nobody's talking about that also exist. One, Bronny at 22 is just such a reach. It is. So you only do that if you know LeBron James is probably going to sign with you. Like, that's just what it is. Okay. No team in their right mind should draft Bronny James that high. Not yet. Not yet. If he stayed in school maybe another year, developed his game a little bit better, maybe he could find himself in the first round. But it's just, there's just too much unknown in terms of his growth and ability right now to solidify a top 25 pick. Second, LeBron James has one play with the Lakers in terms of an extension. Outside of that, he's going to have to take less money to go anywhere else. Okay. LA is the only one that can offer him, I think it's like 3 years for $158 million or something like that, if he wants to opt out and then do an extension plus have the no trade clause put in as well. So right now, if you're LeBron, you got to decide, is $50+ million or $150+ million worth it, or what am I playing for? The last years of my career are not for the money, because I'm a billionaire. What the hell do I need to do with all that stuff? I've already solidified myself in the financial game. It should be about legacy. And if LeBron James is going to be that dude, there's only one way to do it. And you got to catch Kobe and you got to catch Michael. It's one of those two. And you got to find the best spot to be able to do that. And I don't think LA is going to be that spot. It just isn't. Why not go to the Suns and give yourself a better chance at a title than stay with the Lakers with Anthony Davis and a bunch of other yahoos? I don't know, man. I just don't believe it. I just don't.
No, Noah Suns. Eric, can you go to Noah Suns? He put something up there. He said, Rich Paul, Bronny. It's up somewhere up in the chat. But there you go. There you go. That's narrative number one. We don't want to paint this picture that people are drafting Bronny because of LeBron. So let's get that out there right now. You don't think it's a coincidence that Paul George just put something out today and said, Bronny, I think, is the next Drew Holiday. Okay. So this is what we do. Guys, understand, I've been doing this way too long, and I'm telling y'all, this is classic smokescreen. We're going to put out what we want to put out. We're going to reach out to the homies. We're going to put some narratives out there. This just is what it is. To Saul's point, though, I could not agree more. First, another thing I want to remind people, I got to say this. Rich Paul works for LeBron James, not the other way around. Okay. So Rich Paul can say whatever he wants to say. But if LeBron 3 weeks from now says, you know what, I kind of like that team out in Phoenix, and hey, they did draft Bronny, and hey, you know what? I didn't feel this way on June 19th. But July 1, kind of slept on it, kind of feel like things have changed. He has all the right in the world to do that. So we got to put things in perspective. Rich is doing what he's doing for his client. LeBron will make his decision based on what LeBron wants to do. And I don't think anyone's going to be speaking for Bron. So I don't think this is anywhere near as definitive as people might make it out after reading the headlines. The Suns, I just don't see it.
And on top of that, right now is a good time to remind people, because some people are feeling really good. They don't want LeBron on this Sun squad. I get it. And some people are a little bit sad that it seems like any chance of getting LeBron is out the window. For the people who are asking if LeBron does opt in, can we just trade for him? The answer is no, because LeBron will be making too much money for any player to match any player on the Suns squad. So we can't just straight up trade for him. And anybody who's like, well, what if we tossed in Nasir Little to match the salary? We can't do that either, because we're a second tax apron team. So we cannot send out multiple players in a trade. And we also, because we're in the second apron, cannot do a sign and trade. So if LeBron were to opt out and then sign at a little bit of a lower rate to make a trade happen, we can't participate in that either. So basically, the only option of getting LeBron in Phoenix is if the Suns were to draft Bronny and he accepted the vet min. That's it. That's the only path. So
pretty simple. There is another path that I don't think people are talking about, but I don't think it's a realistic path. And that path is LeBron makes it clear he doesn't want to be with the Lakers. The Lakers understand that. They don't want to lose him for nothing. So LeBron signs a deal with the Lakers a little bit lower than what he probably deserves, waits out until he is trade eligible, and kind of do what KD did with Brooklyn last year and said, I'm going back to Brooklyn, guys. I'm committed to Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn. We're going to make this right. And then you saw what happened. So could that be a path that down the road could come to fruition? I don't know, but that is a path. He could sign a lower deal, maybe not for the max, and make the money sit down. So technically LeBron won't be coming to Phoenix for the minimum, but it won't be this summer either. So you can look at that too. But I'm not saying they're going to do that. I'm just saying that is a path that a lot of people aren't talking about.
Yeah, but if you're the Lakers, like at a certain point, you got to stop being held hostage by LeBron.
Yeah.
Like you just I don't know, man. If I was Rob Pelinka right now, I'd be like, bro, either you stay and you opt in, or I got to move on to a different world, man. Like you're LeBron, and I get it, man. But we also have not come close to winning a championship. We got swept in the Western Conference Finals. That doesn't feel like that. Basically, you got to the second round is what that really appealed to. And then this year, you got bounced in the first round in 5 games. Like, what are we doing here? We're not improving as a franchise. We're getting worse. So do we need to move on and start a whole new movement? I think if you're the Lakers, you really got to look at that.
And the Lakers are a family-owned business, man. People need to remember that. They're a family-owned business, doesn't have all this money coming from all different places. They've had some financial issues. They had during COVID, they had to apply for some. Do y'all remember that during COVID? The Lakers actually applied for government funding. So I say all that to say what you're saying. So they're getting tired of being held hostage, and they're getting tired of playing this game of chicken with LeBron. And I think both sides are kind of at a part where it may be time for a change. So, we'll see where the cookie crumbles, man. But I don't think anything that happened today really changes much.
So speaking of young guys, we did find out via Instagram stories, young guys meaning Bronny, not LeBron. Young guys coming up who are likely going to be drafted next week. We did find out via Instagram stories that Tyler Kolek is in Phoenix or was in Phoenix. This was shared earlier this week, a guy we've talked about on this program before. So I'm assuming it's safe to say that he is in town for a workout with the Suns.
Yeah, I don't think he out here to chill in 115 degrees for nothing.
True. I mean, he could be working out. There's a lot of places around here that athletes work out. So like anytime any of these athletes is in Arizona, it's just like, okay, cool. Like, what does that really mean? But I do believe he's working out with the Suns. And I do think that, listen, the Suns are interested, but they should be interested in everybody. They want to make sure everybody, again, like they did such a piss poor job with the last couple of years of really taking youth and the draft seriously in order to develop. And I really like, and I know we're going to get to Monty here in a second, but I really feel like, man, this has got to be corrected. And so you got to look at every single player that's coming through those doors in the NBA draft to make sure that you have not left any stone unturned.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And it seems like the Suns are doing at least a little bit of their due diligence this offseason. We haven't gotten a lot of information on who all they've had in for workouts, but they are working out a few different players ahead of the draft. So we did get a super chat real quick while we're on the topic. Hunter said, can't we trade Nurk first to get under the second apron, then trade Beal if he approves the trade? So you could trade Beal at any point in time if he approves the trade. You can trade Nurk to get under the second tax apron, but Bobby Marks told us that you cannot then make another move after that puts you back into the second tax apron. So that's kind of the caveat. We tried that loophole. Trust me, Hunter, we have. Because we were hoping that maybe there was some scenario where that loophole was available to us so that we could open up some of the things that are available to teams. But
that's what we call backdoor aggregation.
But the NBA they're too smart, I suppose, or maybe not smart enough. I don't know which one you want to call it, but the answer is no. We can't go under the second apron to just go back up in the same offseason. All right, one last little bit of rumors that circulated on social media last night. We did get a tweet from James Mackey that said There's been reports that 2 or 3 other bidders are in on the land in North Phoenix that the Coyotes ownership group is looking at in order to purchase, build, and bring the Arizona Coyotes franchise back to the Valley. And they said, per source, Ishbia is believed to be one of the names in on the land. And given the newly crafted Valley Suns G League team slated to be an appearance at Mullet Arena, it makes sense for the land to be eyed for maybe a new arena for the team and organization. Well, our very own PHNX Gerald Bourguet followed up on this and said, a source says there is, quote, zero truth to this. Mat Ishbia is, quote, not involved at all.
Nor should they be for a G League team. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you spend
a lot.
Hundreds of millions of dollars for a G League team to have a facility? That doesn't make any sense at all. Like, you're going to stay under the $50 million range if you're going to build a small little arena, but you're not going to go crazy and build another footprint center. That just doesn't make any sense. So it makes sense. Listen, I think there's other bidders that the Coyotes should be much more worried about that are legitimately interested in that property. And the only thing that kept them from not being in the fold in the first place was the fact that they didn't want to be the reason why hockey left. Well, hockey's gone. So I think it's fair game right now. And if Morello, honestly, and listen, if somebody outbids Morello for that land property, I think there's going to be a portion of people here that are like, okay, good. That means Morello won't be the owner if we do get a hockey team back. And I think a lot of people are excited about that. But I also know that there's another faction of people that are concerned that if Morello doesn't get this, then that might be the last chance of getting a hockey team here. So who knows what's going to happen? But I know that Mat Ishbia not being involved is probably a smart decision.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
All right. 2 things from the chat real quick before we move on. We did get a question from, where did it go? ACK. They said, can they not do a 3-team trade for LeBron? So I think technically no, because the Suns can participate in 3-team trades, but the money still has to match.
That's right.
So whoever we're bringing back in still has to match the salary that we are sending out. So if we're sending out 50 million, we can only bring back 50 million. Yeah. And since nobody on the Suns matches the same amount that LeBron would make if he opts in on his deal or takes what he's expected to money-wise, it just doesn't work. The math ain't mathin'.
And that would only work on an opt-in because, again, once he opts out and re-signs, he becomes ineligible because of the sign and trade thing. So he would have to opt in, but there's no one on this, like you said, no one on this roster that makes LeBron's money, and we can't take a cent more. Mm-hmm. So that's a wrap.
We can take less.
We can take less. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the last thing from the chat, Charles said, Lindsay in her bubble, Flex finally got some sponsored merch, and Saul playing Mr. Pessimistic. This is home. Hey, chat.
I don't know how I'm pessimistic.
Yeah, I haven't heard pessimistic Saul today. I don't know where that's coming from.
I don't feel like I've been pessimistic. I think it was actually more optimism for LeBron.
Yeah, actually, I feel so. But thank you so much, Charles. We appreciate you being here with us. Hopefully, you guys can all come out and hang out with us at Chicken and Pickle tomorrow. We are having a PHNX trivia night out on in the West Valley at Chicken and Pickle from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It is a free event, and the trivia will be sports trivia. So you guys should be pretty good at this. We love our friends over at Chicken and Pickle. They've got great food, good vibes. Of course, the pickleball courts are amazing. But if you just want to hang out, play some lawn games, eat some good food, they got all of that too. You can head on over to gophnx.com, click the events tab for more information. And a quick reminder, don't forget our PHNX Cardinals crew is heading to Miami this fall, and it is going to be an epic trip. If you want to get all the information for that and get in on the action, just head to truefantravel.com. We've got all the details there, and if you have any additional questions, always feel free to reach out. But again, you can get all the information for all the events, and you can sign up to become a diehard at gophnx.com. And if you are going to head out to either Chicken and Pickle and you're going to hang out on the lawn, or you're going to head out to Miami, make sure you're ready with a pair of Shady Rays. We're talking about premium polarized sunglasses, you guys. Our friends at Shady Rays the best of the best, whether you are looking for an everyday pair of glasses or you're more like Espo where you want to match your glasses to your mood. They've got all different types of shapes, colors, you name it. Our friends at Shady Rays, they have got you covered. These glasses, they always hit. And the best part about Shady Rays is if you don't love your shades, you can exchange it for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop with them because they've always got your back with their personnel and their fast support. Pretty sure you can find some Suns-colored sunglasses as well if you are trying to get a little exciting, a little crazy with it, just like our friend Espa, like I said. But exclusively for you guys, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Just head to shadyrays.com. Use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Well, hey, it's one of those times of the year where, there's not much going on. And sometimes when, what do they say? Idle hands are the devil's work or something like that. You get a little bored, you start doing stupid shit. Right. And sometimes you're around your spouse a little too much and you guys get on each other's nerves. And I'll tell you what, man, about 10 years ago, this is real. This is straight up real. 10 years ago was when I met my wife. And, as we went through the course of our relationship, she started to identify some things with me that just were not ideal. Like she was like, I think you need to talk to a therapist because I think you have some unresolved issues. Right. She said it out of love, and I wasn't doing anything crazy. I just, I would get quiet and I would just go into a corner and just kind of, I wouldn't want to talk to anybody. I had a little PTSD and depression, that I didn't know I had at the time. I couldn't identify those things. And I needed to work not only on myself, but also on a relationship. And our friends at BetterHelp are here to do that for you. There's nothing wrong with it. Listen, you should be your own soulmate at a certain point in time. You got to love yourself before somebody else can love you. And BetterHelp and their therapy is here to help you as well. So go check them out, betterhelp.com. And if you do that, you can save up to 10% by going to betterhelp.com and using promo code PHNX. So that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PHNX. And at the end of the day, it's all about self-care. You got to take care of yourself, take care of your mental well-being, and you got to be the best version of yourself. And I know there's so many of us that are out there, man or woman, that just do not wake up happy with what they see in the mirror. And we got to knock that off because everybody here is got something to offer someone. So let's work on ourselves this year, get ourselves right. So that way we don't annoy our partners around the house. And maybe instead of annoying them, we can talk and we can make sure that we're square and we're on the same page and we have a good relationship moving forward. And BetterHelp can do that. So betterhelp.com/PHNX. Check them out today.
And I also think it's interesting too, because a lot of people talk about seasonal depression and usually it's the winter time because the sun's not out. You can't be outside. I feel like in Phoenix, sometimes people get that in the summer because you're cooped up inside because it's so stinking hot. So like if that's a thing, make sure you check out our friends at BetterHelp. Yeah. All right, guys. We're going to talk about our versions of the Suns' perfect offseason. So we did put any stipulations on this as far as if you wanted to go pie in the sky and just hope for the best, as if any team that you wanted to make a trade with was willing to do that trade, or LeBron was willing to take a vet minimum. So I know some of us took a little bit of a different route here. Each of us did. I obviously erred on the side of caution, like I always do, because I would rather be more excited than disappointed, especially when it comes to the Suns. So I set my expectations low. But Saul, do you want to start us off and give us your rundown for the perfect Suns offseason this year?
Absolutely. We hire Monty Williams as head coach. I'm just fucking with you. Yeah,
do we pay him $78 million or $178 million?
I'm kidding, obviously. So this is my perfect roster. There's a lot of things that go into this. So let me pull up my document that I had when I wrote it all out for Eric this morning. First, we're going to go with how we're going to get here. Okay. And this is kind of a detailed list of sorts. All right. So we start with the 7 players that were already locked in: Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, Kevin Durant, Yusuf Nurkic, Nasir Little, and David Roddy. Okay. We're going to re-sign Royce O'Neal for 3 years at $39 million. Drew Eubanks, Eric Gordon, and Damian Lee, we're all going to convince to opt out. And then Josh Okogie, we're going to convince to opt in. And then we're going to trade the number 22 pick and Nasir Little All right, this is where it gets a little funky. To Detroit for Jalen Durant and pick number 54. They need to add a little bit more salary. So that'll work out. And we're also going to get the 2027 second round pick just as a nice little cherry on top. And then we're going to also trade Yusuf Nurkic and the 2028 second round pick to Charlotte for Nick Richards and Trey Mann and pick number 42. With all that being said, we're also going to trade David Roddy for a future second to Utah for a 2029 second round pick. So we've loaded up on second round picks in the future. We're going to draft Bronny James at number 42. And then we're going to draft Jamal Sheed at number 54, because I think if you have two young guards and one of them flames out, you're still going to be solid because both of them are good defenders. Both of them can handle the rock. And with Jamal Sheed, he's got a lot of leadership. If you saw him play at Houston, he's a dog. It's kind of like Javon Carter all over again, except he's a little bit of a better player, in my opinion. We're going to sign LeBron James to a vet min. We're going to sign Kevon Looney to a vet min. We're going to sign Nicholas Batum to a vet min. And we're going to sign Taurean Prince to a vet minimum as well. So your final roster looks like Devin Booker, Trey Mann, Jamal Sheed at the point, Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, Josh Okogie at shooting guard, and Bronny James. LeBron, Taurean Prince, Royce O'Neal at small forward / power forward. All three of them can play either one. Kevin Durant, Nicholas Batum as well at power forward, and Kevon Looney, Jalen Durant, and Nick Richards give you a revamped center position with a little bit more athleticism and some experience and championship pedigree. So, listen, Jalen Durant is probably the more controversial of the one, I think, because of his inconsistency last year. Defensively, he got lost too many times. I acknowledge that. You don't need another project. However, he was on a team with a lot of youth. Monty Williams was playing with the lineups far too much and doing some silly shit out there in terms of like having an all bench unit start the game. Like if you're Jalen Durant and that inconsistency as a 20-year-old does not help you, you need consistency. And we all know that Monty Williams wasn't great at dealing with young centers. So I take Jalen Durant. I surround him with all this experience. He has premium athletic ability, strength, power down low. I take the risk with the number 22 pick as well. I bring him into the fold and I move on.
I like it. I love Jalen Durant. That's one of my guys I would love the Suns to get their hands on. And I agree. I think Monty misused a lot of guys, preferably Jaden Ivey. Right. That wasn't good. But no, I like this, Saul. I saw yours. I was excited. I said it's pretty impressive, dog.
So I have a few questions.
I did forget Bol. My bad. If I go back and do it all over again, I will find a way to keep Bol too. My bad.
Okay, so a couple questions for you on this roster. Which part? We're just going to eliminate LeBron from this conversation here because we talked about it at the top. We know that there's a possibility it won't happen. Let's be honest with ourselves. Outside of the LeBron situation, which part of this roster construction do you think will be the hardest for the Suns to actually pull off?
Trading Yusuf Nurkic. That was the one where I kept looking at different rosters and different draft capital, and it was very hard to find a team that you think would be willing to take on Yusuf Nurkic. So you had to resort to teams that were going to have to struggle to reach the salary floor. And those teams are mainly Detroit was one of them. Utah's another one, because their gap is so big that trying to get up there is going to be very difficult. Charlotte is another one of those teams because, on paper, they're only like $20 or $30 million away, but they've already got 14 players on their roster and like 12 of them already signed for next year. So they don't have much wiggle room in order to improve contracts. So taking a Yusuf and adding $10 million to your cap and getting rid of Trey Mann and Nick Richards is a good scenario because it helps you financially, but it hurts you obviously on the court, because I do believe that Trey Mann is a very good player. He can really provide some oomph to this backcourt, and he's the point guard you need. So that's probably the more unrealistic of the scenarios if I had to guess. And I will say this: if LeBron, and we get hints LeBron's not interested, yes, 1,000,000%. Forget what I just said. I go Eve Missy if he's available, and I move on. That's what I would do. Right. I'm not worried about guards. I need bigs that are athletic, that can defend the rim. That's what I want.
Yeah, I think your Nurk situation, I see what you're saying, but I don't think it's going to be as hard as people think to move Nurk. I really don't. And it's because of what you said with the floor. Teams got to get to the floor. There's going to be teams that got a lot of money, but they're not competing. They're still lottery teams. You're going to see this happen this summer. You're going to have some teams that are going to have a lot of cap space. They're not ready to compete. And their conundrum or their line in the sand is going to be simple. Do we give somebody with the new TV deal and the cap going up, do we give somebody a contract just to get to the floor and waste that money? Or do we take a really good Nurk contract, $17 million over 2 years under the old CBA, and punt to another season where we're more competitive and we could better utilize our money? And so I think that's something that's going to be interesting this summer with the Nurk situation, because you got guys like Klay Thompson that are not the players they used to be, but is trying to get 3 years, 120 million, 40 million a year. So there's going to be teams that are going to punt on that, and Nurk's contract is going to look a lot sweet. So go ahead.
Real quick, Chris Stew in the chat says, Saul, I think you dismissed the point guard position. I'm not dismissing it. There just aren't a lot of options. There just aren't. Like out there in that space, you don't want – I mean, okay, cool. I can find another Saban Lee, but does that really move the needle for us? Does that really give us what we need? Like – no. So who are those options out there that we can get, like that we can tangibly get? Don't tell me TJ McConnell, because we don't have the pieces that Indiana's going to want to get a TJ McConnell. So How are we doing that? Point guard is, I agree. Point guard is absolutely more vital than center, but I don't think that the talent disparity between point guard and the center position is as achievable. I think that's why I opt to go center, because I think there's more guys out there that are available, whether it be in the draft or via trade, that we can acquire as opposed to point guard. So that's why I didn't put much of an emphasis on point guard.
All right, so I'll go next. I feel like mine, I didn't get as fun with it, meaning I don't have LeBron James and Bronny on my roster, mostly because, like I said, I'm erring on the side of caution here. So we are going to re-sign Royce O'Neal. As far as the player option goes, Josh Okogie and Damian Lee are in. Eric Gordon and Drew Eubanks are out. When it came to this, I know the Suns love Josh Okogie, and I know Damian Lee loves Phoenix. And there is just, in my mind, there's no chance that Damian Lee opts out of this contract. We're going to draft Deron Holmes at 22. We're going to trade David Roddy for a second or a couple of second-round picks, whatever we can get there. This one is the little bit of the pie in the sky. We're going to trade Nasir Little for Dean Wade. I know this one might not happen because you probably have to add in some draft capital here, but we're going to pretend it will. On a vet minimum, we're bringing back Bol. We've got Kevon Looney, Nick Batum, Cam Payne, Taurean Prince. Okay, so that puts us at the point. We've got Devin Booker, Josh Okogie, and Cam Payne. Shooting guard, Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, Damian Lee. Small forward, Kevin Durant, Taurean Prince, Nick Batum. Power forward, Dean Wade, Royce O'Neal, Bol. And center position, Kevon Looney, Yusuf Nurkic, and Deron Holmes. So I was thinking on the Nurk side of things, I was kind of thinking there's a possibility that it could be kind of tough to move on from Nurk. And even if it wasn't, maybe he could be valuable around the trade deadline. So that's kind of where I was thinking, giving us a little bit more flexibility around the trade deadline. Obviously, we know, depending on what happens with Royce O'Neal, he might be a player at the deadline as well. But that's kind of where I landed. I had to have Bol back on this. I'm the only one that has Bol on our roster next year. You guys, y'all let me down with that.
Yeah. I kind of dropped the ball on that one. I'll admit that. I like it. I think I have two issues. Number one, if Josh Okogie is your point guard, we are so fucked.
Well, I would probably swap Cam Payne and Josh Okogie if we're going pecking order here. But yeah, I feel like he would probably he's versatile enough to move around.
But he's not.
But I just put him in that role.
He should never touch the ball as a point guard.
I just wanted it to be nice 3-3-3-3.
Yeah, that's
and then the last thing I have, if we were able to trade Nasir Little for Dean Wade, hell yeah.
Fact.
Dean Wade, very good player, can shoot from the perimeter. He's really grown his game over the last couple of years coming from Kansas State. Like, big Dean Wade guy, this guy.
Yeah, Dean Wade can hoop. I like what you did, Lance. I sat there and I analyzed it for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, you know what? Pretty damn good job there, Lindsey Smith.
I mean, I'm not mad at it. And then as far as like the campaign thing goes, Jeremy said campaign blew his shot with his little run-in.
No, he didn't.
I don't think he did. I really don't think he did. Worse things have been done, and players still have roster spots in this league. Campaign was an idiot for that, for sure. Don't get me wrong. But I also think it's not it's not a stretch to say that Devin really enjoyed campaign on this team. And that campaign also brings some vibes that we sorely missed last year. So
you want to hear something funny? People are saying that he blew his chance. I think he improved it. I think he improved it by what happened.
Because now,
yeah, go ahead.
More people will kind of pause.
Yeah, I think we know what campaign is. Campaign knows what this is about. I think he's built up enough sweat equity with this organization where they know that was just a mistake. He's not a bad guy. Cam just had a bad night. But I think there may be teams that don't have that intimate knowledge of Cam that might be like, we're going to shy away now. So Cam getting arrested in Scottsdale might have helped him come back. Probably a little more. So, yeah, again, I don't condone none of the stuff he did. I'm just saying that he had a bad night, man. Come on. We've been there. I don't think he did anything that malicious to have the Suns be like, nah, you off the board, especially with what you said, Lance.
All right. So hello in the chat said, so Saul and Lindsay hate CP3 as second/third string. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Low-key, forgot about Chris Paul. Okay, I did. Well, I kind of forgot about him until Flex, you sent yours in. Not to
get to the next segment.
But I was like, oh shit, Chris Paul.
Lindsay ruining the lead.
Well, don't worry. Who said that? Hello? Who said? Yeah, hello.
Hello in the chat said that.
I think you'll like the next one.
Hope you like Kyle Lowry.
We're going to make you guys wait just a minute to hear what Flex did with his roster because Darth Boyda put in the chat, I love Circle K. And so do I, Darth. I absolutely love my friends over at Circle K. And if you guys love Circle K, you definitely want to get in on their free membership program, the Inner Circle, because they hook you up with a bunch of deals and specials when you are a part of their Inner Circle. First and foremost, you save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, which is great, especially now that it is summertime. Everybody's taking road trips to get out of the heat a little bit. You save 3 cents per gallon every single day. And right now, through September 3rd, at any Arizona location, you can get a Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents. But if you are a part of the Inner Circle, you get it for just 69 cents.
Nice.
They also hook you up with a bunch of additional coupons and discounts and deals by being a part of the Inner Circle, like every 6 free on a selection of Circle K products and so much more. So join Inner Circle today for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. And if you are looking around thinking like, what can I do this summer? Maybe I could use a few extra bucks to help me plan a little vacation or a small staycation. Our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union are here to hook you up right now. When you open a free checking account online, you're going to get $200 in bonuses. You can get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. But beyond just the 200 in bonuses, Desert Financial has your back for whatever type of financial needs you are looking for. They've got the checking account, they've got the savings account, they have credit cards, mortgages, loans, investment options, and so much more. And you'll be joining a credit union that is committed to giving back to the community and sharing its success with its members. For more than 84 years, they've been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. And they're absolutely dedicated to creating exceptional experiences. So check them out again, desertfinancial.com/200 to open a free checking account online and get hooked up with those 200 in bonuses. All right, Flex, what you got?
Oh, baby, let's have some fun. Okay. So this was interesting because I did the pie in the sky thing, right? I try to get 3 elements here. I try to go, dream scenario, a little bit of realism, and then some background stuff that I think connects all the dots. So we got, you see the roster, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Bronny James. But let's tell you how we got there. Let's just start with how we got there. So we got 7 players under contract. Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, Kevin Durant, Yusuf Nurkic, Nasir Little, and David Roddy. 5 of those guys come back. I'll tell you who's not, but we'll start off by first line of business. We re-signed Royce O'Neal to a 4-year, $46 million deal. I think that puts him at roughly $11.5 million a year over 4. So I think that works out. Drew Eubanks opts out. Eric Gordon opts out. My man Damian Lee, who I love and absolutely loves Phoenix, he's coming back. He's opting in. Josh Okogie also opts in. Coach Bud loves him, so I think he's gonna do some good things here. So he opts in. I think we trade David Roddy for a future second-round pick. Here's where it gets a little interesting. I trade Nasir Little, and I attach a future second-round pick to Charlotte for Nick Richards. I love Nick Richards. I think he gives us some work on the glass, a rim roller, young physicality that we much need. And so Nick Richards is now a part of the Phoenix Suns. And now we move on to draft day. With the 22nd pick in the draft, the Phoenix Suns trade that to the New York Knicks for the 25th pick and the 38th pick in the draft. At 25, Day'Ron Holmes slides to them at 25. Great pick. They run to the table. They take Day'Ron Holmes. They get Bronny James at 38. And then the fun stuff happens. Once we get Bronny James locked in, Mr. LeBron James says, hey, I'm going there for the minimum. Kayvon Looney raises his hand and says, you know what? I like that idea. I'm going to play there too. My boy Nick Batum and them fascinating croissants coming over to the Valley, baby. My boy Nick Batum decides he wants to come. And then the icing on the cake, my boy CP3 says, you know what? I had a rough year away from Phoenix. If I could do things over again, I might rethink this. My boy Bron is there. I love Devin. I like what they're doing. I'm going back to the Valley. I'm finishing it. I'm getting my damn ring. I'm going all in. Chris Paul signs with the Phoenix Suns. And then we got a lineup of Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and Bronny James as your potential point guards. You got Brad Beal, Grayson Allen, and Damian Lee as your shooting guards. You slide KD to the small forward spot with Royce O'Neal and Josh Okogie putting in work. One LeBron James, the king, is now your starting power forward. Nick Batum and Day'Ron Holmes help out as hybrid fours. And then you got my boy Nurk, Kayvon Looney, and Nick Richards to man the middle. And then a little thing here. I kept Nurk on this roster. You know why? Because if you're getting LeBron James and you're getting Bronny James, you can't get rid of Nurk. Nurk's a clutch guy. It's a Rich Paul guy. They're not going to allow that. So they got to keep all the homies together and make the money. So that's what we're doing. Am I crazy?
For keeping Nurk, you are.
Well, yeah. I mean, hey,
that's too many. That's too many decent centers all on, all backing each other up. So I'm like, well, okay. Could you utilize that in a better way? Is what I would think. I don't care about their agents.
Well, you might. Again, you're right. You got Nurk, you got Looney, you got Richards. They all do 3 different things. It's gonna be hard to get them all on the court. But to Lindsay's point, maybe you hold on to that, and then later at the deadline, you got a little bit of freedom to do something. So I kind of lean there. And again, I'm just keeping it real. We just heard my man Rich Paul give his whole little spiel today. Rich Paul. That's his guy. They love Big Nurk. They love Nurk. So I highly doubt they're gonna want to come to Phoenix and then say, yeah, by the way, get rid of the big homie. It kind of doesn't work that way.
The only way it works is if it's equally beneficial both ways. Like if Nurk feels like whoever the destination is going to be for him might be a better situation for him in the long run.
Yeah.
That'd be the only way. And I mean,
can I ask both of y'all a question? If LeBron, Rich Paul, if Rich Paul and LeBron say, yeah, we're locked in, you got Bronny, we're coming, but you can't trade Nurk. Are you even thinking about trading Nurk? No, you can't. So and again, I know how Rich Paul operates. He takes care of his people. I really think Nurk is a good dude. I think the locker room, people like him in the locker room. Devin loves him. And so I think when you go this far in and you got all these things that fell into place, the worst thing, there's worse things that can happen than keeping Nurk. So yeah. I'm cool with keeping Nurk.
I'm cool with keeping Nurk, but I'm not doing it because people like him. I'm doing it because it's going to benefit the team. Because these dudes got I feel like every guy on this roster's got a 2-year expiring deal because that's the window. And
I like that.
If Nurk is holding you back because you weren't able to get an asset that you thought could be valuable because you're trying to keep the vibes intact, then yeah, man, I'm not trying to co-sign on that. But I also realize, again, the DNA of this team has got to be what's identified. Does he fit the DNA of what this team is supposed to be all about? Last year, it was all over the place, so we had no idea what they're trying to accomplish. So if they have that, and they think Nurk fits in, I'm cool with it. And I want to go back to something else too. There's two things in the chat. Icon asks, why does everybody think that that LeBron would be such a help to this team? I don't know. I just think that having the best all-around player that we might have ever seen in the game could only help us. And I know LeBron comes. This is where I think the two get conflated. LeBron, the individual, and LeBron, the actual player. I think people conflate those two together, and because they don't like LeBron, the individual, because he's whining on the court, or, you know, he's too extra, or he has his own beliefs about this, that, and the other. But LeBron, the basketball player, is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And he's one of the greatest all-around players of all time. So to be able to not get a point guard, but have somebody on the court that can facilitate just as good as one, if not better than most, yeah, that's what we need, because we didn't have anybody that was putting this shit together. It was a circus out there last year. So yeah, that's why I think
he's still all NBA.
He brings leadership too.
Yeah.
Like, we talked so much about lack of leadership last year, and hopefully a lot of that changes now that we have a new head coach. But still, like, he is more than willing to be the floor general, right? Which is something we've asked questions about all last season. Who's this guy? Who's that guy? Everybody knows if LeBron's on your team. So you can scratch that to-do list item off of your list.
Yeah. Eric said he's 40. Y'all acting like he's Benjamin Button. I'm like, okay. But he was still all NBA. He was still all NBA. He was dropping 30 points a game at times. Like,
you know what that sounds like? Go ahead.
He's not a scrub. He's still good. Here's my question, okay? Is he, for a vet minimum, because that's what he would come in, are you going to do better?
No.
Not even close.
No. LeBron,
it's not like we're signing him to $180 million amount of year contract. We're talking about a vet minimum, y'all.
Stop with the LeBron is 40 shit too, man. Because I mean, dog, he's still playing basketball. He's still putting up all NBA. 40. And go ask Tampa Bay how they felt about that 40-plus-year-old quarterback that went and won them a Super Bowl. Right? I mean, we've seen people do it before. Tom Brady was playing into his 40s and still winning championships. So I'm not feeding into that 40-year-old nonsense. LeBron is different. Tom Brady's different. They're in the same category. I could say LeBron and Tom Brady in the same sentence. They're two uni guys. Why are you looking at that smirk, nurse? Why are you smirking over there, Saul?
I'm smirking at some of these comments because they're wild.
Oh, okay.
They're wild, man. They're talking about like we don't need that guy. I'm like, bro, did you see us get swept in the first round? I don't know what else
I tell you what, if we had Bron on his team in that Minnesota series, we might have not got swept. I tell you that much.
I mean, could you imagine like where this is 1999? I don't even remember who was on the team for the Suns in 1999 or 2000, right? But like Michael Jordan wanted to play for the Suns. Like, you're saying no?
Yeah.
Because he's Michael Jordan and I don't like him?
Washington Wizards, Michael Jordan, I'm taking him in a heartbeat. He was beating us with buzzer beaters on Sean Marion. You remember that?
Yeah.
Washington Wizards, Michael Jordan. I'll take him too.
All right. So we do have a super chat from Buddha the Schizo. They said, who would replace Nurk as the, quote, big bro protector?
That's why I'm keeping him. We ain't got to replace him. He the big bro. Take care of everybody. That's why he stays on my team.
Leo sent us one, and they said, I'd rather have Jay Crowder over Nick Batum.
Listen, I actually thought about Jay Crowder, so I'm not going to shit on that. I actually thought about bringing Jay back. I just didn't want this to become a reunion tour. So once I got Chris and I looked at yours, I saw campaign was coming back. I'm like, I don't want it to be that. But Jay, I'll take either. I love Jay.
Yeah, it's a toss-up for me for those two. Like, I'm not bought into either one. So
yeah. All right. So here is what our guy Gerald's not on the show, but he still wanted to participate. So here are his moves step by step. Okay. So you start with the 7 players who are currently under contract. You re-sign Royce O'Neal for 3 years, $39 million. Drew Eubanks opts out. Eric Gordon opts out. Damian Lee opts out. Josh Okogie opts in. You trade back from number 22 with the Timberwolves to number 27. You get number 37 as well. You draft Deron Holmes at number 27. You draft Bronny James at 37. You trade Nasir Little to the Raptors for Jalen McDaniels. You trade David Roddy somewhere for future second-round picks. You trade Yusuf Nurkic and the 2031 pick to the Bulls for Alex Caruso and Torrey Craig. You sign LeBron James to a vet minimum. You sign Kevon Looney to a vet minimum. Daniel Tice and Nick Batum also to a vet minimum. And your roster looks like Devin Booker, Alex Caruso, and Josh Okogie at point. Shooting guard, Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, Bronny James. Small forward, Kevin Durant, Nick Batum, Torrey Craig. Power forward, LeBron James, Royce O'Neal, Jalen McDaniels, and center, Kevon Looney, Daniel Tice, Deron Holmes.
I mean, that's a great offseason. Give him that. Like that's a great offseason. Like you hit on every single thing like that. That's a great offseason. Obviously Gerald is going by Monty's school of thought when it comes to Elfrid Payton by saying you can never have enough Torrey Craigs. So, you know, we're going to run this back for like the third time with Torrey Craig, but that's fine. Listen, if you were able to get Caruso, that's fantastic. But you know, I think the Bulls are in a different frame of mind right now, and I think they're going to end up keeping him because they had some really good offers last year and they turned them all down. And so I don't know what the Bulls are thinking, to be honest. I like everything else on that list. I think that was solid. The only thing that I would probably push back, can you throw that back up there one more time? The only thing I would push back on is maybe Jalen McDaniels. I don't know if we would be able to pull that off.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we'd be able to pull it off.
Yeah,
I don't know if Toronto would let him go. Same thing with Alex Caruso. But everything else is solid. Deron Holmes, too, by the way. I know everybody wants to put him at center, but he's 6'9", and he doesn't have like tremendous lift. So I think he's more of a power forward in the league than he is center.
Well, that's what he was on my list. That's why I had him.
So I think he's more power forward than center. I don't think he's a backup big at all. Like he can hold up in switches, sure, but I don't think you want to rely on a steady diet of Deron Holmes down low against, you know, Nikola Jokic. I think he get torn up just like everybody else. But
I love what Gerald did. I question if we can get Jaden McDaniels from Toronto for not say a little. Wow, let's do that in a heartbeat. The Alex Caruso thing too is again all this. If this was the off season, I'd be thrilled. I just don't know if those two things will actually come to fruition. But to Gerald's credit, this is a dream off season, so we don't have the authority to. This is assuming everybody says yes, and so if they said yes, Gerald gets an A+ for me on that roster. You're right about Deron Holmes. I think he's still got some time to grow though. Right now, 6'10", 236. Reminds me of more of Pascal Siakam coming into the league right now, and Pascal's never been a center. But could he beef up a little bit and get stronger, add 10 pounds and maybe do it? Yeah, it's possible.
Steve said, I'd swap Holmes with Edie so the Suns have size.
No.
Listen, if Zach Edey dropped to 22, yeah.
Over Deron Holmes?
Bro, you got Yusuf Nurkic, who's just as slow. Why not?
No, I can't do that.
Why not? He's way better around the rim, and he's way better at being a defensive stalwart than Nurk is already.
No, he's too slow, man. He's too slow.
Bro, Nurkic is still on your roster.
No, I know that. So you're. I mean, two wrongs don't make a right. I mean, you just two slow guys on the perimeter. You're gonna get killed in drop coverage.
Dude,
no,
Zach Edey performed way better at the combine than a lot of people expected him to.
No, he did. I seen him shoot.
Way more athletic. He was able to challenge 3-point shots at a higher clip than just about every scout thought he could. Like, I wouldn't sleep on him because he's damn near automatic around the rim. And you have a big like that with these guys, like holy shit.
I think offensively, I'm intrigued. Defensively, I think he'll get played off the floor. In big time moments, he'll get played off the floor. I think he's just too big, man. I mean, this isn't his fault. I mean, he's just a big dude. And those guys, they have a way of getting exposed in defensive coverage over the long term. So that's my only thing with Edey. But yeah, he can shoot it. I saw all of his draft combine shooting, and that guy was shooting it, and he's going to prove people wrong. But I just don't know that he'll be able to hold up on both ends.
All right. Yeah. So I have one more question for you guys from a more realistic standpoint here. I know some of them felt realistic and some of them didn't, but looking at just the player option guys on the Suns roster right now, those four specifically, who do you genuinely think opts in?
All four.
You think all four are opting?
Every single one of them is opting in. I don't think there's better. I don't think there's going to be anything better for either one of them. So I think all four opt in.
I agree.
Same Saul?
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Definitely Eubanks will opt in because what are his other choices? Eric Gordon might even be in that same boat now based on how he played last year. Damian Lee, obviously, he's got to opt in because of the knee and the concerns about that. He's not going to throw away money. Josh Okogie's probably going to opt in. Okogie's probably the one that has more options than the others.
Yeah.
Because guys, people around the league like his tenacity defensively and how he can get after it. But yeah, I think they'll all end up opting in. And so this exercise will be for a lot of nothing because there's going to be a lot of other things that we're going to have to do to try and shore up this roster. And that's the challenge for the Suns. Like, this is not an easy task.
No.
So one thing I will remind everybody when it comes to the player options, Bobby Marks was on our program a little while ago, and he was talking about the player options. And he said if he were the Suns, he would go to these guys and tell them to all opt out, test the market. If they get something better, great. Take it if you want. If not, we'll have a vet minimum waiting for you here at Phoenix because it helps with the cap space and the money and the hit that they'll take. Or not the cap space, it's the taxes, right?
Yep.
So I'm just throwing that out there as like if one of them does opt out, maybe don't celebrate too soon.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there as like a disclaimer.
It's a risky business to do that.
We got a vet minimum waiting for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's a risky bit. Yeah.
No, I get it, but you don't think they're going to try at least?
Lindsay, this is what I want you to do, okay? We're going to put a pause on your contract. Go out there, see what's out there, and we promise you we have yours still waiting for you when you come back. I mean, nobody does that. Nobody's taking that shit for real.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Bobby Marks brought it up as a way for the Suns to be able to save some money, too. And you don't want to get a reputation of screwing guys over, regardless if they're veterans or not.
No, but the way out is they're going to know who they want to target. They'll get them quickly in the door, and then be like, sorry, man, we had to do what's best for the team.
Yeah, 12 hours too late, dog.
Yeah, if you could just come about 2 hours earlier, we would have got you, man.
I was up all night waiting for your call last night, but damn, bro, I just
I'm saying, man.
No, man. That's some shisty business. I'm just saying.
Yo, man, I tried.
That ain't it, man. That ain't it.
At the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you, and you shouldn't have opted out, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Anyway, Ruffled Feathers said, bring back Jock Landale. Nobody wants Jock back?
I like Jock.
I'm looking for Jock to come back. I know he would love to come back.
Put him on your list? I'm telling him you said that.
Well, he hasn't opted out yet. Or the Rockets haven't declined his option yet.
That's facts. But we're just assuming this will happen. We do have a super chat from some guy named Justin, and they said, who do you guys believe between your three would have the best chance to take the chip?
Of the rosters we put together?
That's what I'm assuming, right?
If it's of the rosters we put together, I mean, I think we're all going.
Not mine,
because
I went without LeBron.
Yeah. So all three with LeBron have a chance.
I would probably say flexes. I'd probably say flexes because there's the least amount of
turnover,
guesswork.
Okay.
In terms of like production that you're going to get, you got Nick Richards, cool, but what's the level of his production going to be? Still relatively an unknown at a high level, especially when you're talking about a caliber of team like this. Same thing with Jalen. So on my roster specifically, those two, like that's kind of a gamble. Plus, you have a young backcourt too with Bronny and also Jamal Sheed. So it would be a little suspect there because you're taking a huge risk and gamble. So I think flex is probably the more consistent.
I actually like Gerald's. I actually like Gerald's too, though.
Put Flex's list back up real quick so everyone can see it.
Yeah, Chris Paul's the backup. And then you have Bronny. You draft Deron Holmes. You have Nick Richards in the fold after the trade. You got Kevon Looney, Batum. Like that's just a solid lineup all the way around.
Okay, there's Gerald's flex.
I really like Gerald's. Again, I would absolutely take Gerald's if I believe they can actually get Daniels and Caruso. I don't know if that's, like Saul said, that might be harder to get done. But if that were to get done, that's one I would go with.
True. But he did say he has of us three. So that's why.
Oh, that's right. Us three. You're right. Okay.
So then we're picking flexes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All
right, guys. No, that's fine. I already know if I didn't put LeBron on my list. So if I was like to pick a squad to roll with, for sure, of course I'm putting LeBron on my list. But like I said, I'm erring on the side of caution to not get my hopes up too high heading into the offseason and ahead of next season. Any final thoughts on the offseason and what your hopes and dreams are?
Yeah, I would love to talk about Monty. Can we spend a second on Monty for a second? Yeah.
R.I.P. to Monty and the Pistons together.
Not surprising. Never wanted to go there in the first place. Got lured there by damn near $80 million contract, which we all would have taken.
Hell yeah.
You want? Yeah, I'm doing that all day, every day. So now he's going to get $65 million to go back. And again, I mentioned it earlier. Monty Williams is a good coach, but he's a specific coach. And we found that out during his tenure here, that Monty Williams is a very, very hard-headed man. He has his own way and his own idea of how he wants to run things. And if it doesn't go the way he wants it, he's not going to conform to anybody else. He's going to do what he wants to do. We saw that he didn't, his relationship building with the younger players was not as great, especially with the guys that were not exactly, I don't know how. Like I felt like, when you look at Cam and you look at Mikal Bridges, they carry themselves in a different way than DeAndre Ayton does. Yeah. And I think DeAndre Ayton, though, represents more of the youth in the NBA than Mikal and Cam. And so when you have guys like that got the swag, they got a different idea of what they're more brand guys, right? I'm a brand. Like, I'm coming to play for the Suns, but I'm a brand. DeAndre Ayton is a brand, right? He had a couple of those guys in Detroit, and he didn't vibe with those guys. Yeah, he sat the bench. He had Jaden Ivey playing before he had Killian Hayes playing over Jaden Ivey, which is just atrocious. That's like benching Devin Booker for Saban Lee. Come on, what are we doing here? Well, maybe not to that degree, but he needs to figure out how he's going to communicate with this younger generation and develop youth at a higher level and a higher clip than he did, because there's no reason why any NBA team should lose 28 straight games ever. That's hard-headed.
I'd have quit myself. I'd have quit myself. If I go up, man, listen, if I'm coaching an NBA team and those people are paying to see out my team and I lose 28 straight, I'm going to the podium saying, my bad, man. Here's y'all money back. I'm going home. Like that. I don't know how they lost 28 straight, but I will say this. To your point, I don't think Monty ever wanted to go there. I have it on good authority, very good source, that told me that there were 2 offers before the one he took that he shut down right away. No. Here's another one, Monty. No. Here's okay. Now y'all talking stupid money. Okay, I'm going. Like, that's kind of how it played out. He said no to them twice. And then they gave him some shit he couldn't refuse. And I think he took, obviously all of us would do that. I don't think his heart was ever into it. I don't think the roster construction was right for Monty Williams. And, it's just one of those things where shame on the Pistons. I don't blame Monty. I blame the Pistons. They had all the right to vet this whole thing top to bottom. The fact that they had to kind of beg him to come in the first place, I think would have been the first sign that, this ain't our guy. So I blame the Pistons. It ain't Monty's fault. Monty gets to cool out, play some golf, and make $65 million and coach the hell out of Elijah, because Elijah Williams is a good basketball player. So I ain't mad at Monty, bro.
I don't understand it. I just don't understand what the Pistons were thinking. Like, talk to everybody. Talk behind closed doors. Talk to more than just vets. What are the things that you didn't like? I didn't understand that. But hey, Monty he made a good decision. He's going to get paid $65 million to not do a damn thing.
He just got hit a lot.
He's probably going to go back to his ranch in Texas, chill out, and then coach up his son and be done with it.
Monty owes Devin Booker and Chris Paul and a couple of other guys a really nice gift.
Oh, no doubt.
He owes them a very nice gift. You want to talk Chris Paul saying we just got 8 in the bag? Monty owes some people a really nice thing.
That's a good call, Lynch. We got to decide what that is, because, bro, he owes them a lot of money. Let's be honest. Monty was off the radar and could have not been a coach again until he got here with the Suns and got that opportunity. He was like right on the fringe of being one of those guys that's going to be an assistant. Not sure if he's going to be a head coach again. All of a sudden, he makes this finals run, man, and they got this dude a lot of money. So that's a new rollie every year. Like every year for the rest of your life is new rollie season for y'all.
There's a 0% chance that Monty's going to go coach the Lakers too. By the way, there's a 0% chance because the Lakers aren't going to pay that kind of money for Monty Williams because they don't know what they're getting. Also, you really think LeBron and Monty can get along that long in a season? Come on now,
bro. You give me $65 million to send home. There's no way bro. He just hit lotto today.
Yeah, Monty was willing to pass up coaching jobs to step away from the NBA for a while, regardless of the reason. But he was only going to get what, $20 million from the Suns. Now he's got $65 million coming his way. I don't think we see Monty in the NBA until that pays out entirely.
Correct.
And I think it would be stupid for him to just give that up too.
Yeah. Or at least the last maybe year of his deal.
Maybe, yeah. Because, like, why not? Like you said, take your time, coach your son, give back to your family in the way that you haven't been able to as a head coach because it is a demanding job and you're away from them a lot. Like,
listen, a great salary in the NBA. If you're making $8 million a year as an NBA coach, you're doing fantastic. At this rate, Monty could chill out for 8 to 9 years and he's just chilling. Like, this man is done.
At this rate, Monty could just call it a day and not do anything for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he could. Yeah.
Listen, Jan Paul Edwards did Dios. Like, yeah, I get it. Aiden is not the epitome of failure when it comes to Monty Williams by any stretch of the imagination. That's not what we're talking about. But what we're talking about is his relationship with the younger stars or the younger players in the league that might not be, that cut from the same cloth as Monty Williams type of dude. And he had a tough time communicating with those guys. And that wasn't just here. That was also before in New Orleans. And that was obviously in Detroit. So there's a common theme here. And DeAndre Ayton could have done much better himself in owning, his own production. But that doesn't change the fact that communication was different to DeAndre Ayton than it was to Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, and maybe even Cam Johnson. So there's a little bit of uniformity there that needs to happen with Monty Williams. He's got to learn. Listen, this is an opportunity for him to grow. It's an opportunity for him to grow and learn and develop as a coach and understand where his shortcomings are. And he's going to have about 5 years to do that before he gets back in the saddle.
Can I say one last thing? A comparison with Monty. I look at Monty and I go back to Larry Brown and the issues he had with Allen Iverson early, right? That kind of reminds me of the DeAndre Ayton thing. It was almost like, man, you just don't do it the way I think you should do it. And I'm not giving you that. And it took a long time for Larry Brown and AI to get on the same page. And I wonder if a guy if you flipped it and it was Monty Williams coaching Allen Iverson and AI's coming with the big chains and the baggy shorts and all that stuff. I don't know if Monty embraces that. And I kind of feel like they're cut from the same cloth. So I think that was DA's issue. And it sucks because there was a better way to handle that.
And at the end of the day, two things can be true at the same time. DA or whoever the young guy is can be responsible for their future. And their coach could also be a factor with it and how that future plays out as well.
Fair.
Like two things can be true at the exact same time, right?
Yeah.
Listen, you can live in a beautiful house, but if your marriage is a wreck, how long is that house really going to be around for? You know what I'm saying? And that's what I feel like happened between DA and Monty. They had everything set up to win championships, but those two couldn't get along for whatever reason. And ultimately, it's the head coach's responsibility to make sure that you can communicate with players and get them to at least understand your perspective. And I don't feel like Monty did that very well. And DeAndre Ayton, he's a young, kind of foolish cat right now trying to figure out life himself. And I don't know if he's going to find it before his NBA career is over. You got to take care of business if you're the older man, and Monty Williams is responsible for that. I have to deal with 22-year-olds all day long. I figured it out. Come on, Monty, be better.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, but your 22-year-olds aren't multi-millionaires telling you to kick rocks back. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
That's true.
You might be ready to kill somebody. So you start telling them, and they're like, "Man, get out my face, Bookman. I got 20 million in the bank, man."
Real quick, we did have a question in the chat. Somebody's asked if Ayton is an asshole in real life.
No,
I think he can be. He has the ability to be, but I wouldn't say he is inherently an asshole.
If you meet DeAndre Ayton in person, like just alone in a hallway or whatever, DeAndre Ayton is one of my favorite people of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So just such a good dude, does not take himself seriously. He's just kind of a fun-loving guy. And I really feel like the bad thing about what's happened here is that take the basketball side out of it. I do feel like there's been an edge developed with DeAndre Ayton and his trust of the people around him and the media and stuff like that, because, we had these expectations that were not met. And I feel like he's kind of got a jagged edge about him now when it comes to that. But if you ever meet DeAndre Ayton one-on-one, like just the purest soul, like he's just such a nice guy.
He's like a kid. He's got a very youthful, about himself.
Can I give you a test, Saul?
Sure.
If you run into DA in the hallway and you see him, what's the first thing he's gonna say to you? Do you remember?
He's just gonna say book.
Okay. No, I'm saying he had a habit. Every time I ran into DA, first thing he said was respect.
I remember that.
Respect. every time you see him, what up, DA? Respect.
It was always book or it was always B. That's all.
Oh, that's what he would call you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Same. It was more like, "What's up, Linz?"
Okay. Okay.
But I've only seen DA one time in a bad mood. And now, granted, behind the scenes, when the doors are closed, you might get a little bit more of that when hard conversations are being had. But in general, I don't think DA is just a full-on asshole by any means.
He's a teddy bear, man.
Yeah.
He is.
Just wants to be loved, man. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, listen, this is a dog-eat-dog world. And sometimes players just don't fit into that vibe because of the way they grew up. And, he is an island boy. And it was just, again, I never wanted that side of him to be taken away. And I even remember before he even played a game and his kind of good-natured stuff used to be used against him. And I just was like, what are we doing here? We were really just trying to villainize a guy before he's even stepped on the court. Like, we got to stop this.
Yeah.
And, it's unfortunate, but, hopefully he figures it out because I am rooting for him. I still want him to succeed. But, who knows if it's going to happen at the level that we all thought it would when he got drafted.
Right.
All right, we're going to head out. Thank you all for hanging out with us today. We appreciate you. Real quick, there was a question in the chat asking if our channel had a Discord. We do. You have to become a PHNX diehard to get access to it. Not only when you become a diehard do you get access to the Discord, but you get hooked up with a bunch of other things like discounts on our merch, discounts on our events. You get a free hat or t-shirt of your choice upon signing up. You get exclusive content, a whole bunch of great things. And if you want to look into that and sign up to become a diehard today, head to gophnx.com. Until we see you tomorrow, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, rate, review, subscribe, give us 5 stars, please, and thank you. And be sure to follow the show on social at PHNX_Suns.
Real quick, outside shots coming up in about 45 minutes. It's a late edition, 5 o'clock edition. EJ had stuff to do tomorrow, so we're going to do it today at 5. So stick around. Come back.
There you go.
Yes.
We'll see you guys after Outside Shots. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. And until then, you can follow me at Lindsay Smith AZ. You can follow Flex at Flex from Jersey. And you can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. Saul, you want to take us home?
Yeah, listen, these scenarios were okay, but at least you get the rest of your day. So, and there's more basketball talk. So we'll see you later.
Peace.
Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.